From Pastor Richard Miller of the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Daphne. And Pastor, if you would, everyone, please rise for this. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, it is a privilege and honor to be here today, and I thank you for this invitation to open this session in prayer. I'm going to quote some words from Francis Scott Key in a hymn that he wrote. Before you, Lord, we bow, our God who reigns above and rules the world below, boundless in power and love. Our thanks we bring in joy and praise, our hearts we raise to you, our King. The nation you have blessed, may well your love declare, from foes and fears at rest, protected by your care. For this bright day, for this fair land, gifts of your hand, our thanks we pay. And may every mountain height, each vale and forest green, shine in your words' pure light, and its rich fruits be seen. May every tongue be tuned to praise and join to raise a grateful song. Let us pray. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Make us always remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our land with honest industry, truthful education, and an honorable way of life. Save and protect us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. Make us, who came from many different places, a united people. Defend our liberties. Give those whom we have entrusted with the authority of government the spirit of wisdom, that there may be justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, let our hearts be thankful. And in troubled times, do not let our trust in you fail. We pray especially this day for our Baldwin County and for those who have been elected to positions of authority and trust in this community. May they do their work in a spirit of wisdom, kindness, mercy, and justice. Help them use their authority to serve faithfully and to provide the general welfare for all your children. We give you thanks that you are restoring health to our nation and to our communities. We give you thanks for guiding us through this time of pandemic, and may its evil effects continue to fade. And may we return to health and to strength greater than before. We ask that you bless and be with those who go in harm's way to keep us safe. And in light of what we celebrated yesterday on Memorial Day, we give you thanks for those who made that ultimate sacrifice, that we may gather in this way this day. Bless and be with us as we move forward according to your will and in your holy and sacred way. We ask this in that name which is above all others, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Again, thank you.
Commissioner Ball, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
justice for all.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a protocol to make sure that everybody's point of view and ideas can be presented in a timely fashion. I'm going to ask our county administrator, Wayne Dice, to kind of quickly read over the procedures so everyone will feel comfortable that their point of view will be heard, and if not heard by the individual, heard by someone else making that same statement. So Wayne, if you would kind of outline our protocols for those that may or may not be familiar with them.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, we do have a speaking policy the Commission adopted and has had it for many years. This is regarding the speaking request. All individuals wishing to address the Commission must fill out a speaker request form, and they're found in the lobby. We'll be glad to help you with that if you need one, but we ask that you fill it out with your name and information that's on there. No person may address the Commission without first obtaining recognition from the Chairman, and will be allowed up to 3 minutes for an individual, and groups can ask for 5 minutes. Additional time may be given at the discretion of the chairman. The chairman may open the floor for public comments at any time at his or her discretion, but is not obligated to open the floor to individuals who are not signed up to speak. Verbal comments, interruptions from the floor will not be allowed. Please direct your comments to the chairman and use proper etiquette when addressing the commission. Speakers shall be required to speak from the podium equipped with a microphone and will be expected to state their name and address for the record at the onset of their presentation. Personal attacks on elected officials, appointed officials, employees, or other individuals will not be tolerated or allowed. If such unacceptable behavior is engaged, the speaker may be asked by the chairman to cease and desist and/or may be directed to depart the meeting. Mr. Chairman, those are our policies, and we do request that you do fill out the form. It'll be brought to me, and I will call your name up when the chairman asks for the comments to be made at the public hearing. You'll be asked to come to the podium.
All right. Thank you, sir. You'll also look to my left, your right. The NBA has a 24-second clock. We have a 3-minute and a 5-minute clock. So that's just merely to be helpful. And it's not like the lights are going blank or something. If you're continuing a point, we'll go a few seconds beyond that. But in order to respect everybody's time, we've found that this process has worked well, regardless of the topic and the discussion point. So if you would, let's lead into our meeting, Mr. Dice, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make one quick comment. If you're here for a presentation with a group that's on our presentation list, a form is not required for that if you're here for a presentation, which is under presentations on our agenda. Mr. Chairman, the first item on the agenda this morning is the adoption of the May 18th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Chairman, make a motion that we approve the May the 18th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the May 18th regular meeting minutes. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes approved. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next are the administration items. As you may recall, we discussed these during the work session, but we have 8 of those, BA1 through BA8. Staff recommends approval of the administration items.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the BA items under administration 1 through 8. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Mr. Chairman, next we have archives and history. We have 2 items, BC1 and BC2. Staff recommends approval of those 2 items.
So moved.
Second motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the archives and history BC items 1 and 2. Any comments or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next we have Baldwin Regional Area Transit System, BRATS. We have 2 items, BD1 and BD2. Again, staff recommends approval of those 2 items.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion we approve items BD1 and BD2.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second on items BD1 and BD2, Baldwin Regional Area Transportation System, or BRATS. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next is budget and purchasing. We have 11 items, BE1 through BE11. Staff recommends approval of those 11 items.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the BE items 1 through 11
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, next we have Council on Aging. We have one item on that, BI1. Staff recommends approval of that one item under Council on Aging.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve BI1.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on the Council of Aging item BI1. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, next on under elected officials, we have one item, BJ1. Staff recommends approval of that item.
So moved.
We have
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second on items BJ1, the elected officials. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next is environmental management. We have one item, BL1. This is regarding the NPDES permit, and also want to make part of the record the request for interim check approval for that item. So staff recommends approval of BL1 with the interim check approval.
All right, we've got a motion on BL1
Second.
and a second.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, so we're covered there. Any further comment or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, next we have finance and accounting. We have two items, BM1 and BM2. Staff recommends approval of those items.
Chairman, I make a motion we approve items BM1 and BM2.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve items BM1 and BM2 under finance and accounting. Any further comment or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next is highway. We have one item, BN1. Staff recommends approval of that one item.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion on BN1 under highway
Second.
and a couple of seconds. So any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, next is the personnel items. We have 5 of those, BQ1 through BQ5. Again, staff recommends approval of the 5 personnel items.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the personnel items BQ1 through BQ5. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, we have one item under planning and zoning, that is BR1. Staff recommends approval of BR1.
So moved.
We have a motion on item BR1
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next we're down to presentations. We have one presentation. It is regarding the Baldwin County Historic Driving and Walking Tour app. I'll ask Mrs. Anderson to come forward and make this presentation.
Yes, ma'am, and if you would, audience, you'll see presentation here. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning,
Morning.
Morning.
everyone in the audience. I'm excited today. I am. I'm excited about this app. But I do give honor to the Lord because He has done great things. This app is a great project, and I'm very excited and thankful to Him for giving me this opportunity to work on this project. I'm not one to take credit for something that's not actually my idea. So at this time, I'm going to give a little story before I go into the presentation. I'm going to give way to my supervisor. The first time I met him, he had just become the county administrator. He came over to archives and he talked to me about the historic app. Asked me, have you ever heard about this? He pulled out his phone and he started showing me all these tour apps from all these different places. And he said, what do you think about this? I mean, isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? What do you think? Can we do this? Can we get this done? I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. You think we can make this happen? I'm saying, yes, I think we can make this happen. You know, we can do this. The next thing I know, I've heard he's met with Blaine Chastain at Gulf Coast RC&D, and he had talked with some other people. The next thing I know, we're applying for apps at Gulf Coast RC&D, and here we are. We're doing the work, but he got this ball rolling. So thank you, Wayne, for your great idea. And so he started the ball rolling, and here we are. So I like to give credit where it's due. So he's to be commended for this. So here we are. Baldwin County is larger than the state of Rhode Island. This app is going to grow. We're working on it in phases. We're at phase 2. So this presentation, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of phase 1. Then we will introduce phase 2, and we will work through until it's complete, Commissioner Ball. The Baldwin Historic Tours app. On November 4, 2019, the chairman of the Baldwin County Commission signed documents to accept a grant in the amount of $5,000 from Gulf Coast RC&D to assist in the creation and implementation of a public information project. This project focused on historic resources in North Baldwin County. The program involved the creation of a historic driving and walking track. The sites selected in phase 1 were in the North Baldwin County area. Those sites were historic Fort Mims, the Stockton Historic District, the Stockton Heritage Museum, Red Hill Springs, Montgomery Hill Baptist Church, William Weatherford, and Sehoy grave sites. Phase 1 of the app was very successful, and we launched that app in July of 2020, right here in this commission meeting. Having a little technical difficulties right there. Let's start again. And that was the initial app where the app focused on phase 1. On December 2nd, 2020, the chairman of the Baldwin County Commission signed documents to accept a second grant from Gulf Coast RC&D for phase 2 of the walking and driving track. This app encompassed other areas of Baldwin County. At this time, we focused on the Eastern Shore area. The sites selected for phase 2 in Eastern Shore were historic Blakely State Park. In Spanish Fort, we decided on the Revolutionary War battlefield and burial ground. We went down to Point Clear and we decided on the Grand Hotel, the Confederate Rest Cemetery. We talked about the Fairhope founding history, American Legion Post 199, White Avenue Historic District, the Lebanon Chapel AME Church, historic Stedman's Landing. We even touched down in the South Baldwin area, and we went to Marlowe's Ferry Historic Site, Farragut's Basin. The remainder of this presentation will give an overview of the work conducted and provide information on the degree to which the project will result in the improvements that this app will provide for Baldwin County. It will focus on education, tourism, and outreach. As an educational program for students and local residents, the app will allow for self-guided learning to accommodate a variety of educational and physical capabilities. This app will also teach users to appreciate and better care for the natural resources available in Baldwin County. The tourism aspect of the app allows for heavily promoting the Baldwin County Chambers of Commerce and visitor bureaus with information that can easily be replicated from Mobile and Escambia agencies. The director of Fort Mims Historic Site, the director at Fort Morgan Historic Site, the director of Historic Blakely State Park, they're partnering with us on the development and implementation of the app. Local municipalities is also committed to assisting us in the promotion of the app, as well on their social media sites, their website, electronic billboards, and in their newsletters. The Baldwin County Commission has its own avenues for promotion, including press releases, information on the county in-county offices, and promotion on the county's television airing of commission meetings. This app will be fully promoted via all available avenues. As a community development tool, this app will enhance the tourism offerings in Baldwin County, which will lead to further economic development for the county. This app will also offer students, residents, and visitors alike a user-friendly, customizable, and an affordable way to take advantage of the county's natural resources as they gain a better insight into the county's rich history. There are some public benefits to this app as well. I was asked what geographic areas will be served by this project. I'm glad you asked. This app will eventually encompass all areas of Baldwin County, and as mentioned earlier, have a countywide impact. There is an option for everyone of any ability to enjoy. With this app, users can visit sites and listen to the guided tour at their own pace while still receiving the same in-depth guide at their experience as everyone else, Users can choose their own topic of interest. Visitors can follow along from their vehicles, which will allow for the county's senior populations to access the various historic sites as well. This tour is available from the public sites, and you can also access the tour virtually. Support value added. The Baldwin County Commission is the lead agency on this project, with multiple departments and external sources working on the app. Our archives department compiled all of the historic data and did work on the narration portion and verified photographs for the app. Our CIS department will work from the Director of Public Information and Government Affairs officer worked on the technical side of the app. Portman Creative, she worked pretty much on the historic site. She did more of the project management and audio supervision. Soundworks assisted with audio production. Southeast Sky assisted with drone video and editing for the app. In addition to staff time included on the project, the communication. I'm having a hard time reading that part. I'm sorry.
I can't believe you can even read that stuff.
I can read it. I memorized most of it.
That is amazing.
I've done it so long.
You're doing good.
In addition to the staff time invested in the project, the commission is heavily invested monetarily as well. The grant request to Gulf Coast RC&D is $5,000. The total cost of the app is approximately $11,000, which means the commission is left to pay the additional $6,000. The project itself is a GPS-enabled, user-friendly, self-guided tour app for mobile phones and tablets. The project is a way for us to enhance the stories of our county through text, audio, georeference, interactive active maps, images, and video. In short, through this app, we are connecting people, places, and in short, we are telling Baldwin County's story. As you can see on the screen, these are the primary functions of the app. It opens the door to the past with a background on key historic sites. Visitors can explore on foot or by car as they listen to exclusive audio about historic sites with a rich past spanning through many decades. Other app features includes interactive maps, historic sites to help visitors explore the venue and tell its stories. It's complete with a GPS to create a custom experience for visitors depending on their locations. It's complete with photos, videos, audio, text, again, interactive images, and other opportunities for visitors to interact with the exhibits. The app is a way for visitors to engage interpretive content through their own mobile devices. This app will be marketed to visitors looking for a day trip to explore the county's rich history and culture, but it will also be promoted as an educational opportunity for local residents and students looking to better understand the significant historic sites in Baldwin County. At this time, before I introduce the app, again, I want to thank my administrator for giving me the opportunity to work on such an innovative project, and for his advice and help and helping me to get to this point. I want to thank this commission for your support and your guidance. I thank you for your constructive criticism and feedback. I use all of it as opportunities to grow. Please believe us, we do. I want to thank Mr. Blaine Chastain, Mr. Ricky Fields, everyone from Gulf Coast RC&D, our legislative delegation, everyone for your continued support and contribution of this great project. I want to recognize Jennifer Fouch and Baldwin Realtors. You all are new contributors. You have worked through Sherry Lee and her wonderful efforts. You are now contributors to this project via the National Realtors Diversity and Inclusion Grant Fund. This grant will allow us to continue to add to this app. The citizens of Baldwin County for utilizing the app. Please utilize the app. Our CIS department, our administration department, our county departments for their support. And last but not least, the 18, the Archives Department, for putting up with me. Thank you so much. The landing page of the app has changed from its original form from phase 1. It is now restructured by district. It is now North Baldwin, Eastern Shore, South Baldwin, Central Baldwin. So that you can see it visually. This was the previous landing page and now the current landing page. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get a chance to see the app. And today we're going to play Stedman's Landing. It's short, so we don't want to take up too much of your time.
of Montrose, an unincorporated community between Fairhope and Daphne on the eastern shore. Montrose was of little military importance to federal forces during the Civil War, but a significant event did occur here. On September 4th, 1863, the Confederate commerce raider Florida, its crew greatly diminished by yellow fever, successfully ran the federal blockade of Mobile Bay. Quarantined, damaged by the federal flagship Oneida, and unable to dock in Mobile, the ship crossed the bay anchoring at Stedman's Landing at Sibley Street. Villagers allowed the burial of Seaman Duncan and Lieutenant Stribling in the Montrose Cemetery. These are the only two Confederate seamen known to be buried in Baldwin County. In April of 1865, rumors emerged that federal troops at Spanish Fort were preparing to advance on Montrose. Breastworks and other defensive positions were built adjacent to Sibley Street. Volunteers prepared to defend the village, but news arrived on April 9th of the Confederate surrender, and the defenses were abandoned. Located in an inward curve of Mobile Bay, the wharf was quite long because it had to reach the natural deep water traveled by the bay boats along the eastern shore. The wharf began at the foot of Sibley Street, where the bluff was about 50 feet high, requiring a gradual slope downward. The slope allowed the freight car to go down the wharf by its own momentum on wooden tracks. This was a flat car for general use, with portable sides used for certain commodities such as pottery ware. The return trip up the wharf with loaded car or cart was pulled by mule or ox. Over the years, the wharf and landing were destroyed or damaged numerous times as hurricanes hit the eastern shore, most recently Hurricane Sally in 2020. But a wooden walkway and landing remain, providing public access to the Mobile Bay.
And you have the ability to select any of those sites from your phones and hear the accurate history from each of those sites. And like I said, there's more to come from South Baldwin County and Central Baldwin County, and we will continue to add until we cover as much history of Baldwin County as we possibly can. So at this time, we have members from Gulf Coast RC&D. We'll have them come with their remarks, and then we will have Ms. Fouch from Baldwin Realtors come up, and they will make their remarks.
Thank you, Felicia. I'm Blaine Chastain. This is Ricky Fields. And Emily Fayard, Representative Harry Shiver, our Director Charlie, and our Office Administrator Miss Jill, and Senator Albritton's with us too. we thank y'all for letting us be part of this process. This is new technology moving forward, but we never want to forget where we came from. A lot of people are new to Baldwin County. People even grown up here may not know all the history of the spots in Baldwin County. So I think it's really good for us to look back as we move forward and not forget where we came from. So we're proud that we're able to help with the first phase. We're proud that we're helping the second phase, and you got 3 or 4 more, give us a call. But you know how this works. You help us and we all grow from it. So we thank y'all, and we want to present this check, and we're just proud that y'all allow us to work and help on all these projects. So at this time, anybody else? And hey, I would be amiss not to say this. Reason I'm new at this, because I'm new at this, but I would want to take just one brief second for y'all to mention one of our longtime RC&D, Mr. Frank Tryon, passed away. And we're working on some recognition for him later on, but he would be in here and this would have been smoother than butter. I mean, he would have just had it on roll. So anyway, but we do miss Mr. Frank, and we will be reaching out to y'all about something we're going to set up for him later on. Okay?
Very good.
And we thank y'all.
Thank you, Blaine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Others?
Mr. Chairman, can we get a picture of the commission with the check? Would that be appropriate?
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
You're right. Yeah.
Baldwin Realtors.
Chairman, the Board of Realtors is giving us a $5,000 grant for the app's expansion as well.
Very good.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Fouch with the Baldwin Realtors Association, and I want to also recognize who's here with me today. We have Sheila Dodson, the CEO of Baldwin Realtors. We also have Andrita Randallson, who is the branch board president for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, also known as NAREB for short, and she has a board member, George, with her as well this morning. NAREB is an advocacy organization through the Realtors Association that is made up of African American real estate professionals, and Baldwin Realtors is happy to have been able to partner with NAREB to apply for funding through the National Association of Realtors Diversity and Inclusion Grant Fund. And the National Association is committed to diversity within our organization, and we're also committed to strong and inclusive communities. Our members help people from all backgrounds become homeowners. So the National Association of Realtors offers grants for local associations such as ours to help projects in our local communities that align with that mission and value. So in conversations that we had with Wayne Dias and Sherry Lee, it came to light that the county was expanding the historical app to include sites having to do with African American history and Native American history. So that mission fit really well with our diversity grant. So we're happy to announce that the grant application was approved in the amount of $5,000 that we'll be able to assist the county with in this project. So I'm very excited to see the app demonstration and excited to see the new additions that come from this, and happy that the Realtor Association and NAREB could play a small part in that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'm kind of lost with the time. But thank you so much for having us, Jennifer and Sherry. It's our pleasure to help to be a part of this app coming together to for the residents of Baldwin County, even visitors, to just see all the historic areas in your county. So it's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. This way we get our steps.
Okay, this concludes my presentation, but Shirley does have a card. If you open your phone's camera and hold it up to the QR code and snap that QR code, it will download the app to your phone. Okay? And this concludes our presentation. But before I go to my seat, I want to thank Shirley from the bottom of my heart. She has been awesome to work with. She works hard on this app. She's always looking for other opportunities to find funding as well. So thank you, everyone, for your attention. And thank you for this opportunity to speak, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, we will be looking for additional funding to expand the app as we go on too. Just make sure that you guys, we'll be looking for things to help us build it out.
This is another great example of working together. Y'all have heard me say it, and I'll say it as long as I have breath in me. This is paradise as far as I'm concerned, and it's our responsibility to make it better as we get bigger, because we're getting bigger, and this is an example of how we're going to make it better as well. Felicia, thank you very much for your leadership, you and Sherry Lee, and of course Wayne. But he's kind of like us in the sense that we're blessed with leadership at every level, and our job is not to tell people what to do, it's to help them figure out what to do next. And thank you again. I know this is going to get better and better. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Wayne, what we got next?
Mr. Chairman, I got one question.
Sure.
Felicia, is there going to eventually be an app that includes all of the museums? Because, you know, there's a lot of museums with a lot of history that, you know, that I don't know if that's going to be later on in this thing that we can be show where these museums are at.
Right now, we have a brochure, The Melting Pot of People, that we have distributed to all of the Welcome Centers and visitor bureaus that have a map that shows where all of the actual museums are. So we can try to incorporate that.
And I thought just, you know, if it was in this app, you know, along with it, it would show, you know,
that's something that I'm sure that's something that
if they don't go to the thing, they won't ever, you know, get one. So
Mr. Chairman,
that's something we can include it in it. Just
yes.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, we'll add it. I will add that to my list.
There's a lot of history in these museums that's out there. I mean, you got the Baldwin Heritage Museum. I mean, it's fantastic. You got the Pharaoh. I mean,
well, the Holmes Medical Museum is Foley. Right now, we're working with Foley. They have been meeting. And in fact, they're looking at paying for theirs on their own, and the Holmes Medical Museum is on there. So yes, sir, that is on the list.
Okay, just good.
I was going to make a comment, Felicia, just to thank you and all our contributors to make this app to where it is now. I've been kind of looking at it while we've been in here, and it's pretty remarkable that we've come this far. And it almost feels like when you watch some of these videos and stuff, you're like at Disney World or something, riding on one of those rides, listening to the little speech they're giving you about whatever you're looking at. But this is amazing that we have this much history here, that we can have an app that's going to direct people, and I think it's going to do wonders for our county as far as giving people the knowledge. Even I'm learning new things every day, so I just wanted to thank all the time and efforts, all the contributors that are willing to help us out with this cause, and I can't wait for the other phases to be coming in. So thank you and your staff and everybody involved in making this work.
Yeah, Thank you so much. I don't have to be incorporated into this app, but I still want something about the historic markers because that was a monumental task, and those are some beautiful markers, and there's a lot of history just on those markers. So I don't want to, make this so, I guess, too much on it. You know what I mean? I want everything to be included that needs to be included, but like the historic markers, I would just love to have something, even if it's just on our website. I know we're trying to shrink our website and I keep adding to it, but just something that would, and I'll be happy to share my ideas, but what y'all have done so far, I have pushed this everywhere I've been able to go. I have told people about it. I'm like, look, I know a lifelong resident here, places on here, I ain't ever even been to that one you just showed up there,
Wow.
Well, I haven't.
Should visit.
I tell the truth. Some people just avoid it. But anyways, thank you.
Hey, can I ask it, Wayne, make a proposition? I don't know how maybe somewhere on that app, I think it would be beneficial to do a remembrance thing with Burt Blackman's name in there, just because, that man would be beside himself if he saw this app completed. This is something that would be right up his alley, and he could tell you everything on, he could be the one there writing all that stuff if you had about 3 or 4 hours to listen to him. But I just didn't know if there was some way that we could somehow or another, at the end of that or somewhere on that page, just, say in loving memory of Mr. Burt Blackman, or whatever his name is, the real name.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sure we could work on that. I'm sure we could have some sort of memorization on the page. And I just want to also say thanks to the RC&D and also the Board of Realtors. Partnering with everybody, I think makes this much more achievable. And also thank you to the Commission, because the Commission also sponsored this with funds. And I just want to say thank you for your financial support with this, of trying to tell the full story of Baldwin County, which is very exciting to me.
I want to say something real quick.
Sure.
I was trying to clear out my voicemail, and I come across one from early last spring from Mr. Blackman that he had left me, and I couldn't delete it. I just could not. But it's just so amazing because it's like I had to listen, even though it just said, "Hey, Billy Joe, give me a call." You know what I mean? It was like I could not get rid of that one. So.
Well, thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all. Thank every one of y'all.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I believe now we go into our public hearings. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, we have 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is DN1. This is a vacation of right-of-way for vacation 21-3, vacation of an unopened, unimproved right-of-way known as Pinewood Court South, Mr. Chairman. As we discussed at the work session, we do have Frank Parks here. If you have any questions of him, he's here to answer questions if you need him. But I don't have anybody sign up to speak on this item. We still need to open the public hearing, though.
Certainly. This is to open the public hearing on case VAC 21-3, the vacation of an unopened, unimproved right-of-way known as Pinewood Court South. Anyone signed up? I believe you said no one had. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment or speak on this topic? Hearing none, then do we need to have the applicant come up and say something if he'd like? Please,
Mr. Chairman, yes, sir. He's here. He said if you have any questions of him, but he's coming forward now.
And he's waited very patiently since our 8:30 meeting, haven't you?
Thank you, Commissioners, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. My name is Frank Parks, and I have the property 24100 Pinewood Lane, and this road right-of-way was plotted many years ago when the subdivision was first designed and was never completed. In fact, this came before the commission in June of 1993, where the original developer tried to vacate this, but apparently never got all the ducks in a row and all the I's dotted and T's crossed. And then there was actually a filing done by Judge Wilter's firm in 1993 to try to get this done, but apparently, once again, not all the I's were dotted and T's crossed. So I appreciate the opportunity to get this get this completed and have it, and have this non-road go away.
All right. Any other questions or comments relative?
I've got a question.
Yes.
On the map, it shows that there's 4 parcels.
Yes.
Ms. Parks, do you own all 4 of those parcels?
Yes, sir, I do.
Parcels, okay. All the way to the lake and that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the other 2 parcels that's below is Mr. Lerman owns those
Yes,
too?
sir.
Okay.
And he's also a petitioner.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Good point, Skip. Thank you. Okay, any other comments relative to the public hearing? Hearing none, public hearing is closed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve case number BAC-21-3, vacation of an unopened, unimproved right-of-way known as Pinewood Court South.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve VA-21-3. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the last public hearing we have is under Planning and Zoning. It's DR1 on your agenda. This is case number TA-21001. This is an amendment to the Baldwin County zoning ordinance to add Plan District 19 zoning map and local provisions. And Mr. Matthew Brown with the Plan Department is here to make a presentation.
Good morning again, Commissioners. At this time, we're going to give a presentation about District 19. There's been a lengthy process to go through this, so I'm going to take some time and kind of step us back through that process so we can, everybody can understand how we've gotten from where we were to where we are today.
Does this need to be part of the public hearing, or do we open the hearing after Matthew's comments?
No, sir. What I suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that we, after Matthew makes his presentation, open the public hearing. That'd
Just want to be sure. Thank you. Sorry, Matthew.
All right, the process for becoming zoned in Baldwin County is a citizen-driven process, and it's set by state law. So whenever an area of the county desires to become zoned, we go to this law to decide what that process is going to be and how that process is going to unfold. So we're going to start, this is the same presentation I gave to the Planning Commission just a month ago. We're going to start by stepping through that process and understanding the timeline for District 19. So the code section is Alabama Code 45-2-261.07, and this code, even though it's one giant paragraph, goes through those processes. So the code says that the Baldwin County Commission shall not exercise its planning and zoning powers and jurisdiction in any district established hereunder until a majority of the qualified electors of the district voting in an election shall have voted their desire to come within the planning and zoning authority of the Baldwin County Commission. Again, Baldwin County is very unique because it is that citizen-driven process. Until the citizens decide they want zoning, they remain an unzoned area. The next section of the code here, a portion of the code, a party or party seeking to file a petition shall notify the county governing body, the commission, in writing that the parties will petition for the formation of a district and the proposed boundaries of the district. So that next step, if a citizen, and we get calls about this quite frequently, if they are interested in becoming zoned, they petition the commission and they propose some boundaries for that proposed district. The code then talks about the election shall be held if 10% of the qualified voters in any district, so we work closely with the probate judge through this process. The probate judge identifies the number of qualified voters within a district, and if 10% of the qualified electors in any district submit a written petition to the county commission expressing a desire to be subject to the planning and zoning jurisdiction of the Baldwin County Commission under this subpart, then the parties shall have 120 days to obtain those signatures. So that's kind of that process. They've got to get that 10% for it to move forward, and they have 120 days to collect those signatures. The county commission and the judge of probate of Baldwin County shall certify or reject the accuracy of the petition no later than 45 days after receiving the petition. So an important aspect of this, it's a very time-driven process. Once a group completes one thing, the commission has a certain amount of time to complete their task, and it moves right on to the next step from there. Upon certification, the county commission shall, the act does not give any option or provision here, the county commission shall then instruct the judge of probate of Baldwin County to provide for an election within that district no later than 90 days after the certification. Next portion of the code, if a majority of the qualified electors in a district vote in negative in the election, the district shall not be subject to the zoning and planning jurisdiction of the Baldwin County Commission. If a majority of the qualified electors in a district vote in the affirmative, then the district shall be subject to the zoning and planning jurisdiction of the Baldwin County Commission. Now, the next portion of the code, which is .08, talks about what happens after that vote occurs. And we're going to, again, discuss the timeline here in a moment. But if the citizens do vote, then the Baldwin County Commission shall appoint an advisory committee from that district to work with and assist the Planning Commission in formulating and developing regulations, ordinances, and zoning measures for the district. That section continues to provide each advisory committee shall consist of 5 members who shall be qualified electors of the district and who shall reflect as nearly as practical the diversity of the land use in a district. The members of each district advisory committee shall elect a chair. And then finally, in this process, upon adopting of the zoning ordinances, which is what is before you today, and regulations for the district, the Baldwin County Commission, pursuant to the terms of this subpart, the services of the district advisory committee shall terminate and the committee shall be abolished. So that's how that advisory committee process concludes, and the election or the vote to bring in those zoning ordinances. So I'm going to talk about the timeline, and before I go into the timeline, I do want to take a moment and thank the Baldwin County zoning staff. This process is something we don't know if it's going to come. We don't budget a certain amount of staff hours for a zoning election, and with subdivisions and zoning cases, the staff has been very busy lately, and they've had to dedicate a lot of time into this. And Selena Boykin, DJ Hart, Linda Lee, those 3 specifically, but almost every staff member has touched this in reviewing and participating in this process, giving presentations to the advisory committee, and I just want to thank them for their great effort in this process. So it started back on July 7th, 2020. We accepted a citizen notice of intent to pursue zoning for Planning District 19. August 4th, the commission approved boundaries of Planning District 19. This is 2020. October 6th, 2020, we accepted petition signatures and instructed the judge of probate to schedule election no later than December 29th, 2020. December 29th, 2020, the Planning District 19 election occurred, and the citizens voted overwhelmingly. In that case, the qualified or the registered voters voted overwhelmingly to bring that district under the planning and zoning jurisdiction of Baldwin County. January 6, 2021, the judge of probate certified those election results. March 2nd, 2021, the commission appointed the advisory committee. March 19th, 2021, we held our first advisory committee meeting. Moving forward here, April 20th, 2021, the 5th meeting of the advisory committee, they voted unanimously to make a recommendation for approval of of ordinances and a map. On May 6th, the Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Commission met. They also voted unanimously to approve with some minor changes that have come in that we'll discuss those as we go. The recommendation of the advisory committee, and then that brings us to today, June 1st, 2021, where this now is before the Baldwin County Commission. I do want to thank our advisory committee members. They were Jamal Allen, Paul Davis, Kate Fisher, Tracy Frost, and Willard Holloman as registered voters. We also had Clarice Hall Black as an ex officio member from the Fairhope Planning Commission. The code makes that provision as well. And there were also a number of individuals, Ms. Valerie Montgomery, Mr. William Booher, who were both attended a number of meetings, and we appreciate those members of the public just coming out and participating in the process. So on June 20, 2021, this advisory committee of local citizens made a unanimous recommendation on the proposed District 19 ordinance provisions and map. So what were those? So the ordinance, we think of the ordinance as 2 parts. One is a text part and the other is a map. And you have to have them both together to ultimately determine how the ordinance applies. So each district has local provisions that they can identify for their area that provide specific designations or changes that apply specifically to their district. In this case, this is section 2.3.19, and I'm going to provide a non-comprehensive overview of some of those local provisions. The advisory committee started with neighboring District 26, which neighbors District 19. You'll see it on the map here in a moment. They started with those and then kind of built out and tweaked the the changes from there. Some things that they did, they removed some items like the prohibition on planned residential developments. I commend the committee for this. This gives citizens more flexibility without opening the door because a planned development is based on the underlying zoning density to give more creative development opportunities without compromising the actual density of the underlying zoning. They made unavailable 13 different zoning districts, including RSF3 and above, B3, B4, M1, M2, and TR. You'll see from the map here in a moment, this is primarily a residential area. And so these were some of the things that were important to that advisory committee. They disallowed 21 specific uses, and many of these uses were things like landfills, prisons, things that would have had a high unlikelihood of coming into those areas, but they just wanted to be sure that this was not something that was going to becoming next door to them. And then they also added some requirements for concealing cell towers, and I don't want to misquote this here, but we have another district with similar local provisions that we borrowed from in adding these to District 19. So those are a summary of the text ordinances that go into place. And of course, the local provisions get added to the broad ordinance as a whole, and that becomes the ordinance that applies to this district. Next, we're going to talk about the Family Heritage Overlay District. This is found in Section 10.6 of the zoning ordinance. This is probably the largest single change and kind of the most innovative change of the district or of this proposal. The goal is to prevent displacement of culturally significant local communities, or local community in this case in District 19. Make special provisions for allowing the continuance of non-conforming uses created by heirs property. Community feedback used to designate properties within the district, and the map creates a kind of a hash boundary that identifies those properties that fall within this Family Heritage Overlay District. And then the properties automatically lose the overlay designation if transferred to someone other than immediate family. And the provisions of 10.6 identify what an immediate family is and those qualifications. And we worked with legal counsel to kind of anticipate potential issues with that and make sure we had stated that as best we could. So now let's talk about the map. You can see District 19 here on this map, and we're going to kind of zoom into different portions. But we're going to start by talking about what was recommended by the advisory committee itself. So I wanted to point out again, you notice the dark blue line here, how this borders existing District 26. That's the area to the right, to the left. I don't have the zoning turned on here, but that shows how this goes right up against an existing district. That is one of the longest standing districts in the county in terms of being zoned. You'll see here the highlight of the Family Heritage Overlay District boundaries here. That, again, these were derived by the advisory committee members and proposed and then voted on by the advisory committee. And again, this is the map as it was approved by the advisory committee, which is in your agenda packet. And now we're going to go to the next stage. This was then brought before the Planning Commission. It was advertised in the paper, came to the Planning Commission, and in the meantime, there are things that automatically come up. So, changes proposed to the Planning Commission. First, overlay district language. We worked closely with legal counsel on this, and there were a couple items. I'm not going to go into these in detail. They've been available online. None of these changes are what I would call substantive. They were all just wording items to make sure everybody understood the purpose. Again, these have been out in the public now for 4 to 6 weeks. They're available on the website, and we presented these to the Planning Commission at that meeting. But the yellow highlights represent what was changed from what the advisory committee approved. Again, primarily just some wording to make sure it was very clear what was going on. 10.6.4, it talked about after the original adoption within a planning district, the Family Heritage Overlay District may not be expanded or applied to new lots within the planning district for any reason. So this isn't something that someone can come to the Planning Commission and request to have it put on. It's intended to protect a local community or provide some additional protections to a local community. And then a final item here was some clarity added in case properties held by a legal entity and a portion of that legal, or one person who owns that sells out, how that impacts the Family Heritage Overlay District for that entity. So again, non-substantive changes to just make it very clear how this was going to operate. So we had those changes to the overlay district language that came to the Planning Commission. We had some specific map changes. So I'm going to show those to you here. And we also had an allowance for staff to accept changes from rural agricultural to residential single-family estate to RSF1. Our zoning ordinance allows someone with an agricultural use, which there are 4 in the ordinance, to automatically request a redesignation to RSF1. It's an administrative process. It does not come before the Planning Commission. So we thought, we asked the Planning Commission's approval to just administratively accept those right now ahead of it coming to this meeting. And we'll show the ones that we have received here up on the screen. So this is the map that was proposed or came essentially as a result of that meeting from the Planning Commission. First of all, we added 1 additional parcel to the Family Heritage Overlay District, and Ms. Valerie Montgomery, who's here today, brought this one to our attention, so we appreciate that. So that parcel was added. Corrected the designation of residential lots from TR to RSF1, and just something that was missed in the initial laying out of the district. For these 3 lots here. There are 3 lots prepared for residential development. We have a land condominium here that we originally had as RMF6, and after detailed discussions with it's not a homeowners association, but the condo association, I guess, we determined that the more appropriate designation, since they're all single-family residences, was RSF6, and we'll work closely with them in that process. And then finally, we had 2 properties. You'll see on the bottom right, we have a large RA and an RSFE, and then both have green borders on them. These were individuals who came and said, we want to go ahead and get our switch to RSF1 right now, since we'd be administratively allowed to do that. And these were both, this was mentioned at the Planning Commission as well. One of these property owners was there. So that represents the totality of changes that came from what the advisory committee approved and what the Planning Commission then has recommended forward to the County Commission. So on May 6th, the Planning Commission made a unanimous recommendation to you as the Baldwin County Commission. We had 9 members of the public signed up to speak at that Planning Commission meeting, to speak in support, and we had no members of the public signed up to speak against at that meeting. All right, so that brings us now to today. So this is the map that's been out for public viewing with those changes that were discussed, and we do have 2 additional items that have come to us since the Planning Commission approved before. So now this is what you'll actually be voting on. So we discovered, again with the help of a member of the public, this designation. These are existing duplexes that have some weird designations in District 26, and they just needed to be changed to RTF4, so that way if a hurricane were to destroy those buildings, they would already have the zoning they need to rebuild them. Right now you can see on the other side of District 26, they're kind of mixed zones, so we wanted to get the right designation here, which would be RTF4 for these multifamily units. Again, there's already duplexes on those, so we're just reflecting the current use in that. And then finally, we had a request, and this a member of the public's here today. I spoke with her briefly before the meeting, and she may come and speak to you. We had a request that these 3 lots, which are RSF-E, be redesignated or designated as RSF-2. And it's staff's position, the individual plans to put a subdivision here, it's staff's position that this should go through the normal rezoning process. They can take advantage of the administrative RSF1, and in speaking with her prior to the meeting, she would like to take advantage of that and go straight to RSF1. But then the rest of that, after today, she can submit an application to go through the normal process to go to RSF2, which will allow the public comment and everything that is part of the zoning process. This property was purchased in January after the citizens voted to bring the zoning in here. So the citizens had already voted, then the property transferred in January, and you all did receive a letter on this matter. And again, I welcome the member of the public to speak, and I apologize. What was your last name again? Kelly Gilbert. Kelly Gilbert. She's welcome to come and speak, but we discussed earlier, and I think she's interested in just going with RSF1 now and going through the normal process, but I will defer to her on that. So that brings us to the recommendation that we're asking you to vote on today, and that's to accept the Planning Commission's and staff recommendation, which is approval of the map and text amendments as advertised We just showed on the screen with the following changes, and that's with the additional designation of parcels, and I list the numbers up there to RTF4, that's for that duplex region. And then with the additional designation of these 3 pins, which are the 3 properties that Ms. Gilbert owns as RSF1 versus RSFE. I just will note that once you vote and approve this, if that's what you do today, then it will have the effect of disbanding the District 19 Advisory Committee. I don't know who all we have here. I see Ms. Tracy Frost. Do we have any other advisory committee members here today? I don't see any of the other ones, but they have done very well. They worked very well together in those meetings. It was great working with them, but today would officially disband that committee. And that's all I have, Commission.
Yes, Chairman. Next, we will go on the public hearing. I do want to make note that if you have not signed up to speak, please do so. I have 3 people who have signed up to speak. If you want to speak, please get a form. They're outside in the lobby. I'd be glad to take those and call you up as your name comes up, Mr. Chairman. But we want to have a record of who was speaking to the form.
Certainly. And we want to give everybody an opportunity that would like to speak. So if you need a moment to step out and get one of those forms, please do so now. Otherwise, we're going to open the public hearing on the case TA 21001, amendment to the Baldwin County zoning ordinance to add Planning District 19 zoning map and local provisions. Mr. Dice, do we have people signed up? And if so,
Mr. Chairman, the first person we have signed up is Mrs. Tracy Frost.
All right, Ms. Frost, if you would. And if you would pull that mic down a little bit, you and I are not quite as tall as Matthew. Yes.
Toes, perhaps. Let's see.
Very good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your service and also for hearing us this morning. My name is Tracy Frost, and I'm a resident of Point Clear in the newly formed District 19. I also served as chair of the advisory committee along with Jamal Allen, Paul Davis, Kate Fisher, and Willard Holloman. We, along with the staff from the county, created and voted unanimously on the proposal presented to you earlier. This effort began last summer as many citizens felt they had no voice in what was happening in the community when living in an unzoned portion of the area. This uncomfortable position led to tremendous support to come under county zoning and resulted in 91% of the qualified electors voting, requesting to form Planning District 19. We love this community and see the growth throughout all of Baldwin County. While growth is inevitable and important to our area, we as citizens, along with our local officials, must be mindful as we move forward to ensure we are responsibly growing while preserving the things that make this such a unique and beautiful community. As the first planning district created in well over 10 years, it has been an interesting endeavor and a great learning experience. I would recommend other residents get involved to understand the importance of zoning in our community and the tools and guidance it provides our county and adjoining city leaders. While we are the first to come before you, there are others with plans in place to start the process to request zoning. Hopefully, our journey will assist other groups in moving through this effort. I am very proud of the work accomplished by the community and the advisory committee with the assistance of the county planning and zoning department. And like Matthew, we definitely need to thank those people that put in the extra hours because it was a long and rigorous process. Collectively, we have created a recommendation which aligns with the county master plan and preserves the uniqueness of this small portion of Point Clear. We also created a new overlay district to address concerns brought forward during the process. And Matthew mentioned it, the Family Heritage Overlay District. As stated in the county master plan, the Eastern Shore has a strong sense of identity and care for the environment and landscape, and will not be willing to significantly compromise for the benefit of growth itself. Growth on the Eastern Shore will need to characteristically fit with its history. I believe our recommendation perfectly aligns with that goal. Our area is small, primarily residential, with several churches, cemeteries, recreational areas, and our local post office. Our proposal supports the residential makeup of our community and offers flexibility for community-supported businesses in a manner to offset additional hardship on the environment. I respectfully ask for you to support this citizen-driven proposal with a citizen-requested outcome and approve the proposed District 19 zoning map and local provisions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next person signed up to speak is Mr. Woodley Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Willie Williams. Have a property at 17420 Confederate Rest Road. I lived there 61 years. My parents now lived there over 80 years. My great-grandmother was born there in 1899. I'm a lifelong native of Point Clear. I live at 1513 Daphne in the city limits of Daphne with my beautiful wife who's been on me about this mess. This is a mess. 11 years ago, we defeated this. I'm having to go back through talking to past county commissioner Frank Burke, God bless his soul, but this community had the same problem 11 years ago when we defeated it. It was over 2,000 names submitted to have an election, and we had notification, and it was voted down by over 80%. We come 11 years later, and this doctored up plan, which is not the majority of the elected, because Frank Burke, some of the old people had came back and reminded me that wanted the process to be a little more fair. Mr. Gruber's on the board. He wanted to go by voting districts because that used to go all the way to Fish River. So the voters in that area is a little over 2,600 people that's supposed to have voted in there, not 700. Because, you know, we in a lawsuit, Knight versus Baldwin County, and it's about process. It's not about overturning an election. It was fair notification. The people in Summerdale got notification because everybody watching you all. They watching you like a hawk, so everybody prepared, everybody voting against it. And I had to pull up some of my old forms. The reason why we're against zoning in that community, go on the internet and look at Hilton Head, South Carolina. When we had notification 11 years ago, we had independent people. We had county commission staff came in there and was not honest with the people. We had independent planners that came in there and told us the Mobile Press Russia did an article on our community where we are compared with Hilton House with the Gula people in Hilton Head Island. They had over 1,000 acres and they're less than 1,000. Because I haven't sent articles to folks. Now all this mumbo jumbo about cell towers and all that, nothing has happened in 11 years. The only thing that happened in our community is high price home. If you vote for this, that's what you creating us, a problem. And there was no problem. The only problem in our community was infrastructure. It wasn't about zoning because there's no space down there. That's what the expert with PhD behind their name told us 11 years ago. So I'm opposed against it. I'm a fair person. I live in that. But this is wrong for my cousin, my people that lived in that community who I love grew up, their parents, their generation. This is just totally unfair. And I told you before, if you ran a fair election, it would lose again about 70 to 80%. We was not treated fairly in this. This was done undercover, and it will show out in the court proceeding because that is not it was cut down from 2,600 voters to 700 voters. And you didn't even get the majority of the voters out of that 2,600. I mean, that 700, excuse me. And this all this is about process. And I sent a letter at the last meeting to ask them to hold off to after the judge rule on this. Because there's some important issues in there about who is the qualified elected and who can have this done fairly. But thank you. I just hope you do what's right, and I ask you to hold off until after we get through the court, because if we win, y'all gonna appeal. If y'all did, Then we got some federal issues that we trying to work out, and they're looking at it. And since we got the new Assistant Attorney General over civil rights, we just want to be treated fairly. We did not ask for that, and all our team, and I bless my team, if this was a Lakewood issue, should have stayed in Lakewood. They got people, I lived there 61 years. I ain't never seen this recrimination. People coming in our community and messing with us. We always had neighborly, godly folk in Point Clear till this mess come up. We had each other's throat now because they have broken the government rule. Treat your neighbor like you want to be treated. That is totally unfair what they did, and they wouldn't do it. And I ask you to hold off until the legal aspect get out of it, because they're going to come back like last time. It was not done process-wise, and the county is not going to have authority. And I ask you to look at it, because the people in Somerdale had opportunity to vote, and they turned it down. We had opportunity, we would. We're not scared of an election. But thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the last person signed up to speak is Mrs. Kelly Gilbert.
Good morning, honorable members of the committee, or commission rather. I am the landowner that Mr. Matthew Brown spoke about, possibly just rezoning that to RSF1 at this point, and then handling the rest of the application process through the planning and zoning following any decisions that are made based on your meeting today regarding District 19. I just here, if you have any other questions regarding my parcel.
Any questions regarding the parcel she has before us?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have signed up to speak on this morning's item.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing at this point and entertain a motion relative to the item before us.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve case number TA-21001, amendment to the Baldwin County zoning ordinance to add District 19 zoning map and local provisions.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve case TA-21001. Any further discussion or comment on this topic?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank everyone that worked on this project so long. And, you know, this is a process, and, you know, I think everybody went through the process like they were instructed to and how it was done. I think everything was on the up and up, and I just, you know, want to thank them for taking their time, you know, to create this area for themselves and the community. Thank you very much.
Any other question or comment? If I could, let me also echo your comment, Skip, thanking the members of the committee, the time we had an opportunity to meet and discuss, and feel very comfortable that all aspects of this were adequately discussed and aired, and I think it has a great future going forward. Time will tell. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just as a point of clarification, I just want to confirm that the motion includes these two additional staff recommendations.
It does,
okay.
and it's according to what was on our, right from the agenda.
All right, thank you, Matthew, for that clarification. All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign, nay. It is approved unanimously. Wayne, let's move forward, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, next are the committee reports, and the first item is EA1, payment of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pay bills. Hang on, I will hold off on my motion real quick.
Hold on just a second.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion paying bills totaling $3,665,478.73, with the exception of those vendors or commissioners requested to be pulled, which is number 129. Of this amount, $1,627,456.79 was paid to the Baldwin County Board of Education, and $103,054.06 was paid to the Gulf Shores Board of Education for their portion of the county sales and use tax.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion and a second to pay bills with the exception of one item. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay item number 129.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second to pay item 129. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. And let the record reflect that Commissioner Davis refrained from item 129.
Thank you, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, next we have the interim payments and notification of interim payments approved by the clerk treasurer as allowed under policy 8.1. Staff recommendation is to make the attached interim payments made by the clerk treasurer totaling $18,052,056.64. Make that part of the record, Mr. Chairman.
All right, do we have a motion to?
No, sir, that's not required.
Not required.
No,
Sorry
sir.
about that. Jumped the gun. All right.
Mr. Chairman, next are the discussion items. I think no action is required from the discussion items we had during the work session. So that will bring us down to commissioner requests.
I don't have any requests.
Yep. Billy Joe?
I do have a question I'd like to submit. I've been getting a lot of phone calls in my area about noise. There's a place down in Montsegur that is running close to the Grove. It's a skate park-like deal, and they've been for the last, on the weekends, they've been open till 4 o'clock in the morning with loud music and everything else. And what I was asking is if the commission would consider looking at what it would take to create a noise ordinance. You know, I know it's work, and the more we are getting the growth that it's happening, you know, we want people to be able to rest at night if they go to bed. I mean, at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's a little bit ridiculous to be out, you know, and I mean, and there was some of the emails, there was some bad language that was being used in hollering and some very disgusting music that was being played that was offensive to people. And that's why I'm asking, you know, if we could review that and see if there's any way possible. I know we don't have home rule, but I think there are some ordinances that we can do. And if we would look at this, I think it would be something that would we could propose looking at a later time. But I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's certainly a valid consideration. We need to look into what we can legally do at the same time. Businesses that have business licenses, it would seem that there would be something in their license agreement that would address this. There may not be a license with us, but if it's within a municipality, we ought to Wayne, if we could look in and see if there's maybe something that's already there that's just not being enforced. Let's hope that's the case. But if not, I agree with Skip. We need to pursue that because safety and quiet enjoyment of our property is significant.
Mr. Chairman, we'll certainly do that. I'll work with Brad and also the Sheriff's Department. They would be the primary entity responsible for something like this, I would presume. So we'll definitely talk to them and see what they have in place now, if there's anything, and what needs to be updated to make that a little more enforceable.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add that they did call the Sheriff's Department, and the Sheriff's Department really said, well, there's not a whole lot to do because they did not have anything on the books that would support that.
Even more reason we need to have the discussion then. Yes,
and I think where you're referring to is an unzoned area. And I have a lot of unzoned areas in my district, and it's been several months ago because it's turned back over to a different group now, but there was a really bad noise situation going on out in the Greenwood community, and the same thing, couldn't get anything done, whatever. It's an unzoned area. Sheriff's Department's just like, you know, whatever. So I think this is a situation with the growth that we have have in Baldwin County. We applaud the citizens of the area that want to be responsible with their growth, such as District 19. But I will say that that's not going to be the solution of getting everybody zoned, because there's going to be places out in Baldwin County that are not going to be zoned, and we need to somehow or another figure out a way that maybe the legislature can help us out with some. I know that there's some types I was talking to a county commissioner from another county, and there was an ordinance passed in their county locally that gave them some abilities to do some things that normally you wouldn't be allowed, that counties wouldn't be allowed to do. But I think where we're talking about is going to be out in the counties, unzoned areas, and this noise thing is an issue, and as we grow, it's not going to get better.
Well, having grown up in the country where we would gather unofficially, it's one thing to gather unofficially once. But if it becomes a venue where that is going on repeatedly, then the neighbors have a right to have a say-so in what goes on and how it goes on. So, Brad, you and Wayne look into that and get back with us, and because
we're not talking about one time. This is things that are repeated, just like you said. One time birthday party once a year or something is a little bit different.
It's one thing, but when it becomes a venue, then you've got health issues, safety issues, access, and it's something that we need to certainly look into. So if you would get back with us and reach out to any of us, and we'll reach out to you as we hear more.
Sure, we certainly will, and we will research other counties, see what they have. But the sheriff department, they do a great job. But the sheriffs, they only have the ability to enforce the laws that they are authorized to enforce. And as much as they may want to help in this situation, many times they don't have that authority. But we'll certainly work on that, Mr. Chairman, and get something back to y'all to consider. And if it requires local legislation, we'll be glad to start that process. And I have that on the radar for the next session.
Very good. And thanks for bringing that up, Skip. That's something very much needed. Any other commission requests? All right, we got addenda.
Mr. Chairman, the addenda was pulled. We'll bring that back at a later meeting. That was something that we need to work on a little more and get some more information for that, but we'll bring it back at a subsequent meeting. Under administrative report, I have one clarification on BM1. Regarding the rental assistance program guidelines, I'm going to ask Katrina if she could come up and just make sure we're very clear on what those standards were. I know that we went through it fairly fast, but want to make sure that we all are understanding from the documentation's perspective, and also make sure staff has a clear understanding.
All right.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As discussed at the work session, amendment of Emergency Rental Assistance Program guidelines for Baldwin County. Staff recommendation is to approve the three following amendments. Amendment number 1 is payments made directly to renters when landlords refuse to participate. Recommendation amendment number 2 include utilities, late fees, relocation expenses, and reconnection fees. And amendment number 3, revise program deadline to September 30th, 2022, and application submission deadline to June 10th, 2022.
Any questions or comment? Thanks for that clarification.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, so that is what the motion was this morning during the BM1 section. Just want to make sure we're very clear with that, and so we'll make sure we get it right. So,
very good. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any other administrative reports.
All right, Brad, do we have any attorney things we need to deal with, sir?
No report, Mr. Chairman, and happy to report no executive sessions that I'm aware of today. So.
Wow, that is a good report.
You get to go home.
Okay, very good.
We'll go to work.
All right, we've got public comments. We've got members of the public that would like to comment. Cuz, you want to speak to us or say hello?
Randy, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah.
We're good. Randy?
Yes.
I'll say hello.
Yeah, come do that.
Yeah.
He's the Mississippi Davises, and I'm the South Carolina
That's
Davises.
right, and I say I live in a pretty part of the Mississippi territory. So going back in history, it's so good to see the historical overview today, and I think that app's going to be really great. Having served 16 years in the legislature, I appreciate what you guys and lady are doing here for the county. It's a yeoman's task to to hear all that you have to hear, and it's good that you accept the staff recommendations. Oftentimes those, you don't know the hours. I've been to a lot of planning and zoning meetings in Baldwin, but thank you very much. I'm now working for Columbia Southern University and Governmental Affairs. Look forward to being here more often and working with you closely and the other municipalities in our area. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Randy. Any other members of the public that would like to comment? Members of the press? Either he got everything he needed or got a better call or something. Anyway, he was here.
He's waiting on the outside.
Okay. All right, good. I may go out the back, but that's another story. No, I'll be glad to meet him out there. All right, Commissioner, comment. Skip?
Yeah, I want to go ahead and thank the staff again for all that they've done, getting this meeting together. It's, there's a lot of work goes into it with everyone, and I just want to thank them for that. And also, again, I want to thank the folks that are helping with the new app, for the touring. When you get business people involved in it, helping it makes it a whole lot better. I mean, they're showing that they have interest in the county. And also, I'd like to say also on RC&D, they mentioned Mr. Tryon, and Mr. Tryon was very, very, very active on that group, and he definitely will be missed. And the people of District 19, thank y'all for what y'all done and making it another area that is protected by zoning. People don't realize how important zoning really is. I know it's got its heartburns at times, but it protects you from the stuff that's unwanted in your area. And so, again, thank y'all very much, and y'all have a good one.
Good job.
Okay, I have a couple things I want to mention. They both are kind of connected. First of all, we know what is happening. We are entering in hurricane season, and so I am a subscriber to the Gulf Coast News, and this was in the Onlooker this week, and it's called In the Eye. I forget I'm behind this. I'm going to diverse a second. Sometimes I feel like I'm a puppet up here and all you can see is my head. But I used to be on a puppet team at church and I feel like I'm a puppet. But anyhow, not as a sense that people are controlling me, but that we look like a Muppet up here. But anyways, they probably won't agree with me, but I don't care. In the Eye, I think, is a very, very good publication this year. I know they had to put advertisements in here in order to be able to publish it, and some of those are great, but the Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Department has an article in here, and I don't know how many have read this article, and I don't see page numbers, but it's near the back right here, okay? And so I wanted to actually share what this one section, there's several sections, don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I've been getting some eyes up here, but I don't have my glasses on. But it basically talks about flood protection measures. And that is the third paragraph that's in here. And it talks about every year that, flooding can cause more property damage in the United States than any other type of natural disaster. While recent construction practices and regulations have made new homes less prone to flooding, many existing structures remain susceptible. That's one of the things that I wanted to really point out, is that even though new things are coming in here, people forget that stuff that's already there is very susceptible to flooding. Throughout the county, there is a growing interest from property owners to develop practical and cost-effective methods for reducing or eliminating exposure or flooding. Here we go. There are many ways you can help protect your own property and your possessions from flood damage. Property protection measures, publications, and assistance is available to you by contacting the Baldwin County Building Inspection Department at 251-972-6837 or by visiting your local libraries. You can also visit the FEMA website, but I suggest you come to us, okay? And our building inspector is actually in the audience, and he had no idea I was going to get up here and say this, and also our planning and zoning director is in the audience. But that being said, Zach Hood is our EMA director, and he had asked me to accompany him on a Saturday morning Fox 10 TV that's a pre-recorded with Eric Reynolds, and it's called Perspectives. And so that is a pre-recorded show, and I thought that I actually thought that they gave a lot of good information on there. And so as we're entering into hurricane season, I certainly hope we don't have a back-to-back like we did with Ivan and Katrina in 2004 and 2005. But these are acts of God, and we don't know when God's going to act on these kind of things. So I think what we need to do is get you a copy of this in the eye. And I also wanted to say that whenever we went and recorded that television show on Perspectives, there's a young lady that is a Fox 10. She's a fan of Fox 10, and she happens to be my assistant's sister, and her name is Katie Green. And she said, "When you go on Fox 10, would you give me a shout out?" I said, "It's pre-recorded, Katie. I can't say anything." But I said, "I know where I can say something." So I think she's actually watching this right now. So Katie, you better give us a good thumbs up on our Facebook page. But this is a shout out to Katie Green, and Katie, you better get ready for hurricane season. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Jeb.
Yeah, I have a couple of things I wanted to share. You could not have asked for a better Memorial Day weekend, I don't think. I posted something on the reason we get a holiday and such a long weekend is very important to stop and reflect on the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice for this holiday. Technically, a lot of people don't even like calling it a holiday, but we enjoy the benefits from that. I was down at the south end of the county this weekend, and I can tell you, it was jam-packed. People are tired of being cooped up, and they were back, and I don't even know the numbers from the beach yet, but I would expect it to be record-setting, which shows some positivity here that we're ready to get back to normal after kind of being closed up for a year, and it was exciting to see that. I wanted to say, Commissioner Underwood mentioned something about the act of God. I saw a different type of act of God over the last week. A member of my church who actually is our campus pastor at the church, whose wife was employed at this county at one time, suffered some type of an event while he was at a gym and was not alive at the time. Due to the quick acting of the gym staff and paramedics, they were able to regain his life, and it was really amazing to see him sitting up in a bed sharing a testimony in our church this past Sunday. It's unexplainable what happened. It's unexplainable how he came back, but I've never in my life witnessed something like this, such a big movement of God. So I've had it on my mind this whole time I know that Pastor Dale is probably still in the hospital. And when I was at Thomas Hospital, one of the channels that I watched at Thomas Hospital was unfortunately this one, because there weren't many choices to watch. So Pastor Dale, if you're watching this, I'm going to give you a shout out, and it's great to have you back, and I love you, and I wish you all the best. So if you are watching this, I'm sorry.
He couldn't get another channel. Okay. Well, let me kind of wrap it up in a couple of ways. First of all, the staff does a remarkable job. We're blessed, the four of us up here. We don't have to crank any of these people up. We don't have to fire them up to get their job done. I'm looking at a whole group, and all of them aren't here, but many of them are. But I want to tell y'all how much we appreciate and thank you taking your job not only serious, but taking it to heart. And then I'm going to try not to cry, but let me say this. 67 years ago, my dad on Memorial Day, he was in the Battle of the Bulge, and his feet froze, Bronze Star, in the Ardennes Forest, 31 days with no winter gear. He would take us to Gulf Shores. And 67 years ago was the first trip that we made to Gulf Shores when I was 6 years old. And we've seen it change a lot. But it's still a very special place, and every time I drive down there and you get near Oleander's, Young's by the Sea, and the lighthouse, I hearken back to those days, trying to look between the seats. We didn't have car seats back then. There was me and two little brothers, so we were all over the place in the back. And Dad smoked, so we were trying to keep him from smoking all over us, and he'd flip it out the side. But I guess it makes me realize, and I refer to this place as paradise, and I genuinely mean that, because it has been such a major part of my life, and I am humbly proud to be a small part of helping make it better as we get bigger. And my colleagues, I appreciate you as well. We all hear from everybody, and it amazes me what people think we can do as county commissioners, but that's okay. And Randy, you knew that in the legislative setting as well. But we've got great things going on. We've got challenges before us, but we are also made up of good working folks, and we have great volunteers. Tracy Frost, I enjoyed so much getting to know you in that process, and there are a lot of Tracy Frosts out there. I firmly believe that, and we need you to be involved in moving our county forward in whatever area you think you can be helpful, because collectively that's how we get better. And none of us have the answer, but all of us can be part of developing the answer. So I'm going to hush now and ask for a motion to adjourn our county commission meeting.
I make that motion.
We've got a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We will call this meeting adjourned. Thank y'all very much.